Alright, let's do this damn thing. Let me set my volumes here. What's up, YouTube? Should probably aim this up a little more. There we go. Like how you guys are getting the real unedited version. I don't got any time today, so I'm going to be eating this insane chocolate chip cookie. One of the finer things in life. A chocolate chip cookie. Anyways, paired with some coffee. Welcome to this week's show. This is the Crazy Gentleman Cutlery Podcast. No, wait, Culinary Podcast. Anyways, yeah, welcome to the Crazy Gentleman Podcast. I'm your host, Crazy Gentleman. And this week is with an awesome company that I have highly revered for a long time. Baker Drivetrain. I've been running Baker transmissions in my bike for probably, I think I bought my first one in like 09 maybe. I think it was 09. I was talking to Chick and Rick about this like a couple months back. And it was one of the first things I did to my that bike I call Hang Time, that 1990 FXR, that one with the stickers on the tank that everyone knows. So I was talking to Rick about this. I estimate I have about 150,000 miles on that transmission. I'm roughly guesstimating, because there hasn't never been a speedo or an odometer. But yeah, I'm estimating that surely there is over 100,000 miles on that transmission, and it is awesome. And I think I briefly tell the story on the next part of this intro here. But bottom line is, man, I never rode an aftermarket transmission like that. The only other transmission before that I'd ever rode was transmissions that I built with all Andrew stuff in it. And they're awesome. Definitely a huge upgrade from a Harley transmission. But the top notch, the end all be all, man, is the Baker transmission. That thing shifts so smooth. When I first, I'll never forget when I first shifted that thing for the first time. I thought there was something wrong. Like, you can't even feel it shifting. That's how smooth that Baker was. Yeah, it's just continued to impress me. And anyone knows, I love doing burnouts. I love doing wheelies. I've done a countless amount of those things since that transmission went in. I've done my best to break that thing. It's probably been down a dozen drag strips in this country. It's never had, right now it's got the smallest engine it's ever had on it, which is the 111. It never had less than 111 inches in front of it. I beat the piss out of it. And I've never even turned a screw on it. It's been good to me. Never replaced a bearing, never replaced nothing. It's awesome. So, yeah, that's my Baker story. I'll spare you guys any more of a lengthy intro, because I do incorporate it into the show. And then we also have a special guest on this intro that I'm going to pass off to right now. As always, brought to you by Bare Knuckle Performance. And I just want to thank Paul for doing a little bit extra, throwing a little bit of extra sauce on this intro. Thanks for the phone call, Paul. And I also just want to thank the whole team at Baker Transmission, especially Scott and Michelle. And obviously thanks to Bert for making it to this one. I didn't even know if he would, it wasn't fully planned or promised, but I'm happy that he popped in. So the second half of this one is also with Bert. Thank you so much, Bert, for all of your innovation and engineering over the years, and also everyone else at the team for that. Also, you guys are awesome. Can't wait to buy more Baker transmissions. All right, enjoy. I'll see you guys next week. Paul, what's up, man? Yeah, I was hoping that FaceTime worked good for you. Is FaceTime? Okay, cool, man. Yeah, dude. So we're not even gonna beat around the bush here because it's been impossible for us to connect.
I know. I'm sorry, man. It's been a busy week or two.
Oh no, dude, it's all good. The last 2 times that we did that last minute little cancel, it worked out so much better because especially the first time, I kind of wasn't even ready for you. So whatever, dude. We're here. We're now, and the episode that we're talking about here is a really cool one. I was just at Baker Transmission. It was cool as hell, man. I don't know if you ever visited there or not, or you know what your previous history is with Bert, but it was awesome.
I've got a lot of history with those guys, actually.
Yeah, I figured so, man. I know you've ran all their transmissions and in pretty much all your bikes.
They did are we recording?
Yeah, right now, man. We're going.
Yeah, so, I mean, I've been running around with those guys since the beginning, really. I met them all in Sturgis back in like maybe 05, 06. And then around probably 2008, I think, they asked me to join in and help build Bert's 10th anniversary bike. And I think it was his birthday. It might have been his 40th birthday as well. And they're like 5 years ahead of me. So they're on like year 25, 26 now, something like that. But so we built a really cool bike with Eric Gorgeous from Voodoo Choppers. We built the Springer and the mid controls. We built a whole bunch of bike, and I actually went up there to Detroit and helped those guys build that bike, and it was a surprise gift for Bert for his birthday / 10-year anniversary. But then, I mean, just, you know, most of our bikes get their transmission and other parts, and you know, every time we see them while we're out, we always hang out and kind of geek out on whatever crazy stuff they have going on or whatever we're up to. So I like them just because they're so, it's just in their blood, you know. Plus, of course, the American-made aspect of everything, you know, that sits well with me. You know, we're all on the same thing when it comes to that.
Yeah, for sure. Bert touched on that. I don't know if I had mentioned you or not, but I remember when we were doing the episode, he had touched on that. Basically unapologetic for his prices because he refuses to go overseas or anywhere else. He'll be manufacturing right there in Michigan forever, you know?
Yeah, I think, dude, it's so simple. Like, if you're employing Americans have money to spend on your stuff. It's like, it's the simplest formula ever.
Right.
You know, like you hear some of these guys that import a lot of stuff and they say they support the global economy. Well, you know what, dude, that's bullshit. You know, like, I don't give a damn about a global economy. I want Americans to work and I want Americans to prosper, and the rest of them can, you know, they can come along behind us. You know, they can do the same thing in their country, and you know, we've been the leader of the whole thing for 100-something years. So I don't understand why all of a sudden, you know, there's some kind of a celebration on having stuff made, you know, and people are getting stuff made in China because it's somehow better. All you're doing is making it cheaper, and it's not like, you know, like my parts are expensive in store Bert's, but our profit margins are far less than what the guys that import stuff. You know, they're making money hand over fist compared to what we're doing. You know, but our stuff is more expensive, so it's like they're not doing it to help the customer out. They're doing it so they can sell more stuff.
Right.
You know,
they're certainly not doing it to make
where I stand on this.
Yeah, no, I know. We don't need to beat a dead horse, but I mean, one thing that everyone can agree on, including those people that are shipping out to overseas, is they're not shipping out to overseas for better quality.
No.
You know?
It's for profit margin, that's it.
Yeah.
They're not pricing, you know, like they might make a part similar to something of mine, and mine might be, say, $400 and theirs is $200. Well, it's not. Theirs wasn't $200 less to make. Theirs was probably $10 to make it, and hey, look how low our prices are, but their profit margin is so much greater. That's the real reason why they're doing it. It's the profit margin, not making it. You know, the price point is obviously a selling point because people want to spend less money so they can spend more. You know, they can buy more stuff. You know what I mean? Like they get to spread their dollar out. I get it. But guys like Bert and I'm not really making stuff for the guy that just wants to buy a bunch of stuff. I'm making stuff for the guy that wants to buy the absolute best part for his motorcycle.
Right.
Hands down. So the price lands where the price lands. And you might be able to hear the people working behind the other side of that door right now. I just got a shop full of Americans hustling around and making things happen.
Hell yeah, man. Hey, let's shift gears here a second. Do you got a good story of the first time you met Bert? Because you guys are probably pretty young and kind of partying it up.
Yeah, I wish you'd have told me you were going to ask me that. I'd have to think of one that's approved for radio play. Man, I don't even know where to start. I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Or what about Scott? What about Scott? He's been there for 20 years. He's like Bert's kid, man.
I know Scott well.
Yeah.
Scott used to wear these little bitty tiny black rimmed spectacles. And he's still in my phone as Chicken Little. He looks like that cartoon character, Chicken Little, with those little glasses on. I still call him that. Scott's an insanely talented man. Just a total gearhead, and he's. I don't know if they've done a DNA test and if he's Bert's son or not, but he sure as hell could pass for it. Man, when I met Scott, I think he was still in college. I think he was doing an internship, and he just was kind of, his eyes were like this big just being in Sturgis. I think that's where I met him, was in Sturgis, and he was just like, holy shit, what are all these people doing, And we went pretty hard back in those days, and he was just kind of a wallflower a little bit, and then all of a sudden now he's just as much of a wild man as anybody ever was. But yeah, he's so talented. I do have one cool story about him. It was just from a couple years ago, so this is pretty funny. We used to make these stickers, it was me. But a guy that used to work for me, he would just make up like random stickers to put on shit. And we had one that said, this was probably from like 2005, 2006, it says, "I'm not gay, I'm just partying." And we put one of those on, Bert and those guys built a bike, like their Indian Larry tribute bike.
Yeah.
We put one on one of the fork tubes on that bike. And then 3 years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, we were at the Indian Larry block party, and Scott put a bike trailer behind that bagger that they had, that road glide or whatever it is, and then put that Indian Larry tribute bike onto that trailer and rode it from Detroit to New York City. So he pulled a bike behind his bike all the way to New York City, and that sticker was still hanging on that fork tube.
Nice.
And I was like, I forgot about those stickers, it's been so long. And it was just cool to see him come riding in on, that was before they put the blower and all that stuff, the turbo on that road glide of theirs. He came rolling in with a bike trailer behind his bike with that tribute bike on it. It was pretty cool. But that's just kind of a good little snippet of what those guys are about, partying hard, but just doing crazy motorcycle stuff too.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't know Scott at that time, but I was at that block party, and fucking everybody was talking about that. They're like, some dude rode from Michigan with a bike on his bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a picture of that sticker somewhere. I'll send it to you after we get off of this.
Hell yeah, that'd be a good shirt too.
Yeah, right?
Dude, let's shift gears here too. I see your shirt. You're wearing the FXR Tour shirt.
Yeah.
Am I right? Is it starting at your place this year?
Yeah. So we're one of the primary sponsors along with FXR Division, and I don't even remember the rest of them this year off the top of my head, but it's really good company to be in. It's a bunch of good folks. So it's starting off at our place, and we've got pretty cool. We're not going to do it like they did it last year, where you just kind of have a party at the shop. We're going to do, for lack of a better term, a little bar hopping through the back roads, and we're going to wind up in a little town, a little ways away from our shop actually, but it's this cool little river town on the Missouri River, and have a little feast and drink that night, and then get on the road and and head south to, I think the second stop is Frank's place, speed dealer. So, yeah, it's going to be good. And I don't know if you knew it, but Mikey filled in for John the Painter had to drop out. So Mikey filled in Nine Finger. So if you hear the Sawzall going, he's sawing on his FXR frame right now. He's doing, I mean, he bit off a big bite. He's a maniac. Like, I'll let him tell people what he's doing, but he's basically using about this much of the FXR frame. The rest of it he's redoing.
Really?
Literally all of it.
Wow.
Like, he's using the front motor mount and the knee, what we call the knee bend, and then the first maybe 3 or 4 inches of the cradle. The rest of it's new.
Damn.
It's crazy what he's doing. So, should be cool. He'll have a little, pretty well built twin cam in it, and he's got a bunch of cool parts picked out. It's going to be a neat bike.
Cool, man.
We'll have our blower bike with us. Me and Sam are both going to have our FXRs with us. One of us will have to drive a truck at some point. The other one will be riding, but should be cool, man.
Cool. And then the destination is Born Free, Texas, right?
Yep. So we'll hit Speed Dealer the second stop, and then I think we go to Justin, my machinist's place. There might be another stop in there somewhere, and then the night before the show is Strokers again in Dallas, and then we'll backtrack back east to Born Free.
Cool, man. I gotta try.
Last year was a lot of good riding, but there was also just a lot of long, straight, windy stretches of Texas, which I like that. You know, I like those parts of Texas because it's just fun to ride, but I think most of this trip's going to be really cool because it's a lot, you know, the Ozarks and the Ouachitas down in Arkansas are both very windy. It's kind of like up where you live, you know, a lot of windy, smaller mountainous kind of stuff, creek crossings, all that kind of thing. It'll be pretty cool. Yeah,
what an underrated riding state Arkansas is.
Yeah, yep. Missouri too. I mean, southern Missouri is the same as northern Arkansas. A lot of rivers and lakes and stuff. So there's a lot of, a lot of curves and elevation change. It's pretty cool. But yeah, Arkansas is top notch. It's really good. It's kind of one of the more underrated states to ride.
Yeah. I got to figure out how to get to that, man. I'll talk to you about it between now and then. But so I honestly plan on going to Durango that week, and I thought I was gonna catch you guys like last year doing the Durango thing or whatever. But I don't know, man. I'm gonna figure it out. I think I might fly into the shop there.
We'll do it, man. You're an FXR guy. Why are you missing the FXR tour?
I know it's kind of a must for me, but we'll talk about it between now and then.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, get your bike here, and then we'll come pick you up from the airport.
Yeah, for sure, man. Dude. So I don't know. I kind of wanted to more talk about like Bert and Baker or something. I thought you'd have a good story about him or something. But
I do, but like some of it's, I mean, like seriously, some of it's not even our rate. I mean, it just being on the spot like that, you know, it's kind of tough. I will tell you that from a business standpoint, we've followed suit with them in a lot of things. You know, like I've always been all about being American made, but watching somebody like him early on wave that flag so hard, you know, it was definitely a
inspiration to you. An
inspiration, and also a catalyst. You know, it kind of helped fuel that fire a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. In the back of my mind, there's all these funny stories that I can tell going on.
Dude, let me ask you this. This was. I'm gonna tell this whole story like when I do the rest of this intro. But yeah. Do you remember how fucking mind blowing it was when he came out with the 6-speed transmission? Like people don't realize like Harley didn't even have one. Like Bert fucking invented the 6-speed. I mean, like he really brought the 6-speed to the world for Harley Davidson.
And I think back in those fat tire chopper days, I think he invented the right side drive as well. I could be mistaken on that, but I thought that he did. I know they were one of the first to have them.
Right.
Yeah, I think so. You're probably going to tell the story, but the story I remember was, you know, he was leaving GM or whatever. I think he built like maybe 5 or 6 of those transmissions. 6 is the number that pops out in my head. And he went to Daytona with them, and it was a huge hit.
Yeah.
You know, and the rest is history. That would have been like what, 1999 maybe?
I think it was 98. Yeah, him and Scott told the story.
No, that's right, because it was exactly 5 years before me. It was 98.
Yeah. No, the story I was gonna tell was it fucking blew my mind how that transmission shifted. The first 6-speed I put, and it was in my FXR. I still own it, but just blew my mind. And the other thing that blew my mind was like clicking into 6th gear for the first time on a highway.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a fucking game changer, dude.
Yep.
And just how smooth it shifted. I remember so I'll just tell it quick now then, fuck it. I pulled out, I was living upstate at the time. So it was like just a backcountry road. And I shifted into 1st gear and it was so smooth. I thought I missed 2nd gear. I thought there was something wrong. Like you didn't even feel it. And then 3rd and 4th. And I'm like, it just blew my mind how well a transmission can operate, you know?
And the thing about them, they don't sit still either. They're always working on, not just new models and new products, but they're refining everything. You'll buy the same part number this year, but next year you'll get it, and there'll be little nuances that have changed because they're listening to their customers. They're listening to guys say, hey, make those counterboards big enough to put ARP bolts in instead of Allen keys or socket cap screws. They're listening, and I think that's what sets them apart is they're never just taking good enough as good enough.
Right. Yeah, I'll post some videos when the episode comes out, but I'll say this: Scott does his share of R&D, let's say. Just beating the piss.
I got a funny story for you from last year at the Baker Drags. So we showed up and we had zero intentions of drag. I've never been down a drag strip. Like I grew up at the drag strip watching cars. There was a really cool old-timey quarter-mile track near where I grew up. And we went there as often as we could. But I myself had never, ever in my life been down a drag strip. Well, I was on my big powder blue FXR chopper, and my buddy Jeff was on that big 14 up or 12 up lowrider that we built for him last year. And he and I had just taken like a 4,000 or 5,000 mile trip to get to Sturgis. And we had our bikes parked right next to the Baker people. And they're like, why don't you guys race? And I'm like, I don't know, man, whatever, So then Bert was like, no, fuck yeah, man, you guys got to race. Let's go. So me and Jeff get our stuff on, and we're sitting in line, and a couple of, guys, they were kind of jumping line or whatever. They kind of started to move in front of us. And dude, Bert, he's like, what are you doing? Get the fuck back. He goes, I got 2 choppers wanting to race, and you 2 are making my dick soft. Get the fuck back. And so me and Jeff went out there and raced our choppers, but just hearing Bert so excited to watch choppers race down the track and telling those other guys on, way faster bikes than ours that they were making his dick soft that's just like the quintessential Bert. He's just so in the moment and so passionate about whatever is in that moment that you just can't help but, get a fucking energy boost from just being around him.
Yeah.
He's a trip, man.
Yeah, he definitely carries some energy.
Yes, he does. Yep. And it's funny because Lerg, Scott is so chill.
Yeah.
But then when it gets to the right stuff, you'll just see him he'll almost jump up when he gets excited about something. You start talking about turbos and boost and just whatever crazy shit. He gets he'll actually get a little taller and excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a cool bunch of people, man.
Yeah, I honestly met Scott at the block party. I think it was 2 years ago, and he was just like a really calm, quiet guy. But dude, once I got to Michigan, I was like, this guy's a madman, dude. It was so much fun.
He's a maniac.
Yeah. You guys will hear about it on this episode, but he tells a lot about his life, and what a wild man, dude.
He's a wild man.
Yeah.
I like the hell out of him. He's a good person too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good people to know.
Yeah, they're the best. But anyways, man, that's cool, man. I don't want to kill too much more of your time here, Paul. Thanks for throwing a little extra sauce.
Listening to the podcast, I love seeing what you're doing, following you on Instagram and everything. You're definitely you're living the life, man. I'm happy for you.
I'm trying, dude. I'm trying.
You're killing it.
But yeah, thanks so much for all your support, man. And
Absolutely.
I'll talk to you between now and the FXR tour, man. I'd love to make it out there.
Please do, man. We would be honored to have you with us.
All right, man.
All right, brother.
Thanks, Paul. Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
PC this gets, but
No, it's totally raw, and there's no editing unless I'm forced to.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, well, we're rolling. So, yeah, welcome to this week's show, the Crazy Gentleman Podcast. I'm your host, Crazy Gentleman, and this week's show is brought to you by a new sponsor that I am so proud to announce. We are now working with Twisted Road Motorcycle Rentals. I'll dive more into it in the future, but I wanted to just bring them up. Twisted Road is a motorcycle rental company. It's basically like an Airbnb motorcycle rental company. You could rent whatever brands you want by people that put up their own personal motorcycles. So you could see some cool choppers on there. You could see some race bikes on there, and they are all over the country. So wherever you're at, you just go to the Twisted Road app or twistedroad.com, and you punch in your zip code or your town, and it'll show you all the bikes within the given search radius that you set up in the filters, in a 100-mile circle or a 2-mile circle, whatever. So pretty cool, man. You want to get a Ducati one day and you want to get a Harley the next day, or rent a road glide to go on a week-long road trip because all you got's a Sportster, go for it. It is cool as hell, man. And I have to thank my amazing producer, Amy Whiskey Eye, for setting all that up. And while you're at Twisted Road, punch in the code word CRAZY for, I forgot the discount. I think it's a 25% discount. I should have put this in my notes, Scott. I should have had notes today.
Sounds like it's 25 today.
Yeah, it's a 25% discount today. Code word CRAZY for whenever you want to do a rental, and you'll get a discount. And more about that in the future. This is a super duper fresh partnership deal. But there's going to be a lot more cool shit coming with that, and I'm really excited for it. Thank you, Twisted Road. Also brought to you by Bare Knuckle Performance, bareknuckleperformance.com, for your home of all of the coolest aftermarket parts for your Harley Davidson and some Indian models. They coincide with you guys pretty good. They run a lot of Baker stuff.
Paul and Sam and Mikey.
Yeah. They're right in line with today's show. But don't forget, hit them up. All 100% American-made, manufactured in the heartland. For all of your FXR, Sportsters, Dynas, Softails, baggers, race bikes, whatever you want, man. Bare Knuckles got it. Also, shout out to the bumpshopbackroom.com. That is my current Michigan hotel. My man Rodney, the Evo Jesus. It's the only place you can get your Crazy Gentleman merch, and also check out his podcast, The Bump Shop Diaries. Constant changing inventory at all times. Rodney ran me through his whole inventory last night. Pretty cool stuff. I'm going to put that up there. We're going to be doing a show with him tomorrow. I got the coolest damn leather jacket from his collection. I'll put that also up when all this stuff comes out. But I'm telling you guys, get to the bumpshopbackroom.com and do not miss out on the coolest vintage merch. Also brought to you by Kenny's House of Horsepower for the raddest engines out of Phoenix, Arizona. Anything you want from mild to wild, street to strip, dude. Kenny is blazing fast.
He's a wild man too.
You know Kenny too?
I know Kenny. Yeah, he's a wild man.
Yeah, he runs some Baker products for sure, man.
Yep.
I think even in his M8 race bike is a Baker transmission.
Yeah.
What do you guys call that? The grudge box, right?
Yep.
I think he's got a grudge box in that thing.
Yeah, that M8 Kenny Boyce frame setup that he's got.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, dude, everyone in the world knows him, man. You want the baddest engines? Go to Kenny. Also brought to you by, dude, this is when I told you I don't take notes. I wing all this, man. This is all just, Simbita Custom Knives, Evan Simbita _ Custom Knives. When I'm done with this podcast, I will post up the day before I left to hit the road for this trip. I just got my new Evan Simbita knife in that is awesome, dude. It's made of mammoth tusk, muskox horn, and what do you call that? What's desert ironwood, a burl of a desert ironwood tree though. Is cool as shit, man. And I took some cool pictures before I left. I just haven't posted them yet, but I'll post some pictures up of that, man. Check him out, Simbita _ custom _ knives on Instagram or SimbitaCustomKnives.com. And Evan will make your dreams come true, from the kitchen to the outdoors to those high mountain lightweight hunts. Evan's your man. Who else? Who else am I going for here? It's so hard to remember all these fucking sponsors, dude. I love them all.
Notes, man.
But my
notes.
Yeah, notes. Dude, this is why you're the engineer and I'm the podcaster, or what I normally tell people is, this is why I'm your mechanic, not your attorney.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
Let's face it, dude.
Yeah.
You know? But this is why I'm the podcaster and you're the engineer.
Yeah.
Scott's, so for people that are just listening, we'll just dive into it, and what I'll do, like sometimes throughout the show, if I remember someone, I'll just plug it in the middle.
Nice.
And all my sponsors are awesome. They're the world's best. They're cool as hell. They're loose. They just let me roll.
So we got a great industry.
Dude, it's the best industry. So Austin at Twisted Road, I had just met him through my producer. She's got a previous working relationship with other motorcycle organizations she's involved in, and so I even asked him, because I'm like, dude, this is like a more, I keep getting more like higher corporate structured sponsors, as this thing grows. And I'm like, I wanted to like go over, we could do like pre-made commercials with you. I could do videos. He's like, man, I like what you're doing. You just keep doing what you're doing. I'm like, everyone just keeps letting me do that. I'm like, I don't know, man. At some point, someone's going to have to put some structure on this thing,
Yeah.
I'm going to have to honestly start to put some structure on this thing myself. But yeah.
But you've gone this long now, so
I guess we've gotten this far. We're almost at the 5. No, we're past the 4-year mark.
That's great.
Yeah, it's wild,
great.
dude. It feels like yesterday.
Yeah.
I don't know about your lifetime. How old are you?
I'm 40.
Oh, me too. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's so wild, man. So let's do this quick for people that are, I guess, listening or watching. We're here at Baker Drivetrain.
Yep.
And that's as far as I'm going. You want to introduce yourself and tell you who you are?
Yeah, so I'm Scott Lerg. I'm the engineer here at Baker Drivetrain. I've worked here since I was a kid, basically. I started out working for Bert and Lisa, the owners, who are both MSU grad engineers. I started out working for them when I was 17, and that's, it was like an after high school kind of job thing. The old building used to be down the road, and they were in a building next to where my mom worked.
Okay.
I'm into mountain biking and bicycles, and she's like, hey, there's this motorcycle shop. They're kind of expanding. You might want to go say hi to them and put in an application for an after-school job sort of thing. And
was your mom friends with Bert and Lisa at that time?
She knew Bert and Lisa. I wouldn't, just because of the buildings, they were just next door to each other, and I don't want to say a strip mall, but a strip building setup. So all the buildings were connected, or businesses were all connected.
People rented their units.
Exactly. And so they were next door, and so she had just known. She didn't really know a lot about it, but she knew I was into motorcycles. And with that said, I wasn't allowed to have a motorcycle until I was 18 and moved out. So you know what happened when I turned 18.
Right. Immediately.
But yeah.
So how old were you? You said you were 16 or 17?
17.
17.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I did my interview and hired in, I was 17.
I gotta say this, man. I hope this isn't over the line, but I know this. I know the answer to this question now. But since the day I met you, I've wanted to ask.
Yeah.
You look like Bert's son, dude.
People say that all the time.
You gotta get that a lot, right?
People say that a long time ago. I gotta think of his name now. His name is Frank. He had a custom bike shop, and he was out of the East Coast. But he used to call me Mini Bert because he said like that I look like Bert. But yeah, no relation family-wise other than, they become my family. We're all kind of family here. This is a small company, and it's just been, they treat us well, and you work hard and do your things, and we've created a sweet business here of like making motorcycle parts and having fun doing it.
Yeah, 23 years here.
Yes.
So how long has Baker been in business?
Since 98. So I hired in, 1998 they released the first 6-speed transmission. So Bert and his buddy had been testing them. At that time they were still kind of working for General Motors, and they had a couple of test units and sent, they just rode around testing. Bert was working on a manual transmission at that time.
Okay.
He
was an engineer for GM, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So he had worked on, I believe it would have been like the early or late, early 90s, late 80s Cavalier 5-speed transmission that went in a bunch of cars, but that was like one of the main ones. So he is very familiar with manual transmissions and riding around on his 5-speed Harley. He built a stroker for it, and
along with the app.
With the app, yeah.
Yeah,
that's fine.
But so he was at GM and rocking around his stroked Harley. And
and so he had done that. They rode around, did some test units, and decided the story is they had Bert and Lisa. They basically cashed in their kids' college funds, their 401k, and they were able to buy 50 units to sell.
Really?
And so they made these 50 units in the basement of their house.
Okay.
And when they did that, that was kind of the make or break. Like, if we sell these and it takes off, we're done with GM and we're doing our thing, and and that's kind of how it all started. And so
was this just like on a manual Bridgeport at Bert's house?
Yeah, so
did he have a little CNC or what was going on in 98?
So gears, you can't make gears, you shouldn't say you can't. You could make gears on a Bridgeport, but that's not really what it's designed for. So Bert had done, this is back, we're talking pre-CAD days, we're not talking computer-aided drafting, it's all hand-drawn. I can show you the first drawings in the office when we're done with the podcast, but it was all done by hand, and then he had made some parts in-house. He had some of the government work done, maybe at GM, maybe not,
right? Yeah.
So
so these transmissions were completed while he was still at GM.
I believe all 50 of them were.
Wow.
I can't.
It's a lot to do on the side.
Yeah, I don't remember. It sounds bad that I don't remember that, but it's been a lot of years.
Oh man, I don't really want to particularly ask too much about Bert. It sounds like you got all the info, but I think it's all right that you don't know the answer to those calls.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. It's I wouldn't.
I don't want to get too in the weeds.
I wouldn't think that working here for that long I would forget some of those details, but
that's why you forgot them. It's so long ago.
We've done so much and made so many products over the years that it's I still try and focus on how we started, what we started with, and what works and where to go with that.
Right.
Yeah, so that was my I started as a kid, and what kid doesn't love motorcycles or being on two wheels? So my job here was literally sweeping the floors and building wooden crates. We used to ship all of our complete transmissions would ship in a wooden crate. So when I say complete, a 5-speed build or a 6-speed build for an Evo Softail. Because at that time, we're talking 2001, 2002.
Right.
Custom bikes were starting to come up. So we had just came out with the right side drive transmission. Bert and another guy had built the first 2 right side drive setups, and We had Dave Perowitz paint the bike back then, you know.
Damn.
And that bike actually is still in existence. It's a guy that lives 20 miles from here, still rides it around.
No shit. It must have been, you said right side drive, so it must have been a wicked wide tire. Like
yeah,
one
so
of the early 300s or something.
Well,
like
it was before that. It was so a wide tire at that time was a 250.
Oh, okay.
Which doesn't sound that wide, but once you
I mean, it is wide.
Yeah.
Like, anyone who's ever ridden like a 240 tire bike is like,
yeah,
that's fucking wide, dude. It's like you're taking a lot of the, what would you call it? I call it rideability, but like, all of the proper geometry that it takes to make a motorcycle work properly, at least how I like it to work.
Yeah.
Once you cross a certain threshold, you can't fight physics.
Exactly.
It just is what it is.
But the right side drive did help fight those physics because when they were all left side drive, you've got your secondary drive line, and that's what we're talking about is, you know, how the transmission outputs which side of the
right side drive helps balance that bike out so much better.
And so it made it a lot better, and so there was 250s, 300s, they even gone up, I think 330, and then maybe even a 360 at one point before.
I think the 360 had a short life. Yeah, because then the cliff happened.
Yeah, and then everything fell off.
Yeah.
But yeah, so but that was like coming out then. We also had our XL6 transmission, which was
really? So you still make that?
We don't make that anymore, just because the XL6 fitment was up to 2003 Sportsters, and 04 they switched it up and made it more unitized. A few years ago, I actually came up with a way to cut out that transmission and put in an XL6, but we never released it to the public.
Wow. So, dude, I got the golden question.
Yes.
That I think everyone wants to know. Why hasn't anyone ever made a 6-speed for Sportsters? Is the physics of squeezing it in that given box too much? Because on a big twin 5-speed, the thicker trap door gives you the room for the 6.
Yeah.
To run a proper 6-speed.
Yep.
So you just can't do it on a Sportster. Is that the limitation?
Yeah. So like on our overdrive 6-speed, which was our flagship product that we came out with, and that's what launched this company, the overdrive 6-speed. You know, it's got a 0.86, a 14% overdrive. The XL6 that we made for the Sportsters was a similar setup, had an overdrive like that. There was a little bit more space that we could work with. We could move things out on the trapdoor and keep. The thing with the Sportster is your clutch is really close to the gear set. And so if you move that out, now you're offsetting the primary drive, or you may have to move the primary drive out. You run out of space. There's no room to move it on the right side.
Out of cover. It's like you'll crash into that.
So yeah, there's limited space. Why Harley never did it, I'm not sure, other than I really feel that, you know, I have no problems with Sportsters. My first bike was a 97 S1 Lightning Buick.
Right.
And I had a 6-speed in that. I've built Sportsters over the years. They're great bikes. I think Harley really tries to use it as a stepping stone to get people into a big twin.
Yeah, that's always what I've thought. Like, the reason Harley never did 6-speed the Sportster is they purposely want people to step up to a bigger bike.
Yeah.
Because even the older 5-speed bikes, man, they could run down a highway a lot better than a Sportster.
Yeah.
And
the Sportster too, you got to look at. I mean, Harley has to sell these bikes for, you know, a pretty low price.
It's an entry level bike
to be competitive with other manufacturers, and to do that, I mean, if you're adding another gear in there, you're adding probably another shift fork, and you know, you start adding up that bill of materials, and it's probably not that advantageous for them to add a 6th gear to it.
Right.
Then they just sell Sportsters to everybody, and they're not
and
selling
kill Dynacels or now Softail.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This is a question. All right, if we want to talk about planned questions, there is one question I had in my head that I had to ask you.
Yeah.
Where does the name Lefty Lerg come from?
So Lefty Lerg comes from. So I'm left-handed.
Me too. Okay.
And my last name is Lerg, Lerg, and so I had put those two together. back in, I don't do it anymore, but I was probably a pretty heavy left-handed cigarette smoker,
Okay.
pot smoker.
Okay.
So
left-handed cigarettes.
I thought that was funny, so I came up with Lefty Lerg, and it just has kind of stuck, and then that's my Instagram handle, and I mean it started really as I was just left-handed, but it had kind of some double play in it, and
I gotcha.
Yeah, I've just left it at that. So
right.
Yeah.
No pun intended. Yeah, that's so funny. So me and you are 40. I would say basically anyone even a year or two younger than us is probably too young. I don't know about you, but growing up, like the people of our parents' generation used to call them left-handed cigarettes.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you're probably right, because I don't even think people like to call it marijuana. I mean, it's
right.
Weed and cannabis, or pot. There's all the different things, but the left-handed cigarette, that's an old people term, and that's why I thought it was funny.
It's fucking hilarious.
So that's how I rolled with it. So
I say we bring it back right here on this podcast. Yeah. Smoking those left-handed cigarettes. Yeah. I'll say that still to this day, and some people will just be like, they'll look at me. I'm like, I'm not even explaining.
Yeah,
like,
safety meeting for some lefties.
Yeah. Yep.
So
I think it's fucking hilarious, man.
Yeah. But that's how that came about.
Cool, man. So was that Buell S1 your first motorcycle?
Yeah. So that Buell was our test bike for the XL6 program, and I was 18 at the time, working here, but I was also going to the local community college, and I didn't have tons of money to spend on a bike, but I knew I wanted to ride a bike. Bert would let me take anytime I wanted to go ride any of the bikes here, they're company motorcycles. It's a tool. It's what we use to develop. It's what we learn from. So anytime I wanted to go ride, we had a couple other bikes. We had a 99 Road King, but what 18-year-old wants to go sit around at the time, what 18-year-old wanted to sit around on a Road King? These days, I'd rather be on a Road King than the tiny little seat S1.
Dude, but these days, I get it. Like, we're getting old enough where I would say it's excusable. It drives me nuts. This is going to piss so many people off.
That's okay, though. That's okay.
I'm perfectly
Opinions
okay with
are great like that.
I'm okay with it. But it drives me fucking nuts nowadays when you see a kid, like, in his young 20s on a bagger. Yeah, I'm like, bro, you're too young for that shit.
Yeah,
like,
did you not
get a more fun bike, dude?
Yeah, and that was the thing with the S1 is I was always into road racing.
Yeah.
I always loved dirt bikes too, but like I said, my parents, they grew up riding motorcycles, so they knew I shouldn't grow up riding motorcycles, if that makes sense. So I just knew. So like I had that Buell, and out of nowhere, I had found the local drag racing track, about 45 minutes from here. Wednesday nights they did test and tune. So I would just ride up there. Like, I had no clue what I was doing back then, but I'd ride up there on Wednesdays, go racing, what I thought was racing,
Was this a drag strip or a road track?
So this was drag strip. And then I did the drag strip because I knew I had a couple buddies that were into cars, and they would go up and do it. So it was like kind of an easy, like, learn how to. The road racing course close to us is maybe an hour and a half away. I didn't really, not that it mattered, I just didn't have a connection to it. I didn't know how you got into doing that. Mm-hmm. Fast forward a year from that, so I was maybe 19, 20, I found a way into that. I had some older friends that used to road race, and they actually, when they heard I wanted to do it, they said, we'll go do track days with you. So we all went out there and started doing track days. And
that's awesome.
Did
they run Buells also?
No, they were on inline 4-cylinders, FZR 1000s and CBR 600s and stuff like that. And I started doing it on the Buell, and I quickly learned after a couple track days that S1 was not the bike for that. So I kept that bike, but I ended up getting a Honda RC51.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
V-twin.
That's a V-twin. Yeah. I was gonna say opposed twin, but a V-twin.
Yeah, still a V-twin. Kind of still a heavy bike for the track, but it just really, that kind of catapulted me into like getting into this whole track day thing, realized that the 600 bikes were a lot faster just because they didn't have the weight. And it was probably a lot of my skill too. I was green, didn't even know what I was doing, but I still had a good time. And for me, it was always just about having a good time on the bike.
Yeah.
Not being about the fastest guy, even though you know up here you want to be the fastest guy, but it's really just about the fun.
Right.
So I did that on the RC51 for a long time, and then, well, I did it for a couple summers, and then one summer I was doing 165 on it on the street, and you know, Johnny Law saw me doing that, chased me down. I ended up crashing the bike.
They watch you trying to run from them?
Yeah.
Really?
So I crashed the bike with two.
Did you make the news?
With two corners left, I crashed the bike, low-sided it. I was in my full leathers, like not a big deal. I actually was excited that I had crashed because it was my first road crash, and like I wasn't hurt. The bike was stuck in second gear. I got the bike up, and it was in this lady's lawn. She comes running out. She's like, I'm on the phone with 911. And I was like, no, we don't need them. You know, she's like, I'm calling you an ambulance. And I was like, no,
they're coming.
I said, I got other people coming. So I got the bike up and was able to get the bike home.
Oh my God.
And, that was 20 years ago now. So they never found me, I guess you could say. So I parked the bike in my garage, threw a tarp over it, and decided that I was kind of not responsible enough for street riding at that point.
Nice.
So I just stuck to I bought a R6 and started doing track days on the R6 at that point. And
nice.
Then I moved on to, Bert had an R1 at the time. I bought his R1 and started doing track days on that. And that was it was a handful. And then,
dude, that explains so much. I've never got into it with Bert. I've only met him once, but I didn't. Now I know why he's such a speed junkie. I never knew he was into sport bikes.
Well, so the thing with the sport bike is actually kind of funny because he had went out to West Coast Choppers, and Bill Dodge was working with Jesse at the time.
Right.
Bill Dodge had bought an R1 and was like, hey, Bert, go ride this thing. It's just lightning fast. And Bert went and rode it, and then that was like in the fall. Then in the spring, they were down in Daytona, and Lisa, his wife, she bought it. She ended up buying him a 02 R1. And
no shit.
So then he rode that around here for a while and had some fun on it. And then, it's pretty easy to get in trouble on those leader bikes.
So bad, dude.
And so
I've had one. I've had a few.
Yeah, he had it for a little while, but it ended up being parked quite a bit, and then that's how I ended up with it because I just wanted it for another track bike.
Okay.
And then I stripped all the OEM.
What year R1 was it?
It was a 02.
Okay.
But deleted the X up off from it, which is that
Yep.
exhaust setup, because you don't want that on the track. It's kind of fine for the street, but that valve can end up opening up mid corner and can give you a lot of extra power when.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I had an 02 also. I was asking, I thought maybe in that time range it could have been an 04 where they went to that center exhaust on the tail. Mine, I actually did the exhaust that exited right out the belly, out of the belly plastic. Is that what you did?
This actually, Bert had put a full Yoshimura stainless steel tri-oval setup on it, and then put a power commander.
That typical high on the side of the tail.
High, yep. You lose the rear mounts for that mount for that, but it was enough power. I mean, it was plenty fast.
Oh yeah.
It's actually funny.
They come out of the fucking factory plenty fast.
Yeah, it's funny. That bike is still. My buddy bought it from me. He had moved to California. He sold his I think he had a F2 or F3 600. Mm-hmm. He bought it from me because he needed a legal California bike. I sold him that. He had it for years, commuted on it every day, and then it's actually back here in Michigan, and my brother owns it now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah, that bike's been kind of around the family, you could say, its whole life. But that's kind of how, I got into the track stuff and got super excited about it. And then, track days are expensive, and it's still fun, and I'm not saying that was why I quit, but I had a couple low sides, I had a couple crashes, and then I'd actually gotten into a really bad snowmobile accident
Dude, you're a fucking speed junkie.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, absolutely. But the snowmobile accident really KO'd me. I about lost my left arm.
Really?
I had shattered my shoulder blade into 7 pieces, took a big chunk out of my humerus, and...
What happened? You hit a tree?
No, I was doing a 60-foot jump.
Oh, wow.
And came down bad, and, you know, I landed basically on my shoulder, and on my helmet cracked completely. Like, I hit so hard, knocked me out. Didn't make it to the hospital for about 2 hours, and at that point my arm had already said, no, we're done. You know, it was just numb. You know, when I got to the hospital, and
it was just like a floppy limb.
yeah, I had to do this. I had to write all, you know, I'm like I said, left-handed, lefty Lerg here, so I had to fill all the paperwork right-handed, and they said, well, there's a good chance you're never going to use your left arm again. And I was like, wow, that's really inconvenient because I'm left-handed. And then all of a sudden, there were like 8 nurses or doctors in my room, and they're like, start counting from 10 backwards, you know?
And they knocked you out and did surgery
Knocked me out,
right there?
and they couldn't do surgery then because it had already like swollen up enough. So, but they were able to get it into place, and I had surgery about a week, 2 weeks later. But that put me down for a while. I couldn't ride motorcycles for like 16 weeks because the vibrations they really wanted it to heal. Wow. And it's good now, but like that
no
kind
nerve
of
damage or nothing now?
Oh, I had some nasty nerve damage, but most of it's healed. I mean, for the good maybe 18 months, year and a half, no feeling, you know, in here at all. You know, you could take a lighter to me or pinch me or whatever.
Really?
But yeah, that's come back. So yeah, I like to I like to go fast, I guess.
Damn, you're a lucky dude. And speaking of going fast and expensive, that fucking bagger that you wrecked.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole
race
other...
bagger down there.
Yeah, so, I mean, the racing story then, I kind of got, I don't want to say I got out of it, but, like, I just slowed down a little bit and just wasn't spending all my time trying to go drag racing and all this. We had a good buddy of mine, James Seminelli, who works for Turn 14 Distribution now. He worked for S&S for years.
Okay.
We had hired him in, and that guy... You think I'm a speed freak. This guy, I mean, he's still doing land speed racing.
Cool.
So he was super into Harleys. He had drag raced his whole life. And he just was into it, and it kind of rekindled the whole drag racing spirit around here, and Bert started getting into it. And those guys would go to the track every Wednesday, every Friday, every weekend, and going fast. And so we built some fast bikes and stuff, and I don't know, there's a couple Evos that were, sub 10-second bikes. We've got the bike I was racing at the time wasn't super fast. It was a 1090 bike, but you did 1090s every single time. It was the most consistent, it was a great bracket racer. So
what platform did you say that was?
Those were Evos.
No. What chassis were they in?
So the one I was on was a Rolling Thunder, and then out of
Canada.
Custom. Yeah. So that was a
Rolling. They made good quality frames, man.
Yeah, nice heavy duty, and we didn't have to worry about that one. I mean, we still have that bike to this day. And
the last custom I actually built for someone, which was maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago maybe. That was on a Rolling Thunder chassis.
Yeah.
I love their chassis.
I want to say Rolling Thunder built the one for Bert's bike too, but it was a little bit more custom.
Mm-hmm.
Like
a swoopier kind of chopperish.
More for what he was looking for, but a rigid setup, and so did that, and we done that, and then James he went and worked for Tucker Rocky, or still kind of does. It's Turn 14 distribution now, but.
Yeah, they own the fucking world now.
Yeah. But we kind of still really stayed into, the drag racing thing, and Bert did, and, those bikes were, I don't want to say antiquated, but, an Evo these days is kind of old, and we never really got into the twin cam game. We built one, and just, if you win some, you lose some, didn't really have the best results with it. We had bought it's a 2020 Road Glide, and it started out just as a street bike. That was the one that I was showing you that I wadded up. It was just a street bike, and then we bought it for development for the Grudge Box transmission. We had already released the Grudge Box; it had been out for years, but we wanted to start putting more and more horsepower to it. And so it started out with like, oh, we'll slap a 131 kit on it. You know, like, oh, that's kind of fun. It was like 160, 165 horse.
Yeah.
Kind of neat, but
That
you know,
would get
at the time it was like, oh, this is a fun street bike, right? That's good streetable power.
Yeah.
And then you know, like it's boring.
Right.
So then we put a Pro Charger on it, got one of the first M8 Pro Charger setups for it. And it was putting down kind of low boost, so we weren't really making, you know, it was a lot of extra weight for the little bit of horsepower we were getting.
Right.
Not saying that they don't make horsepower, but at that time it was just, we had some dialing in to do, and we ended up building our own pulley setup for it, and we were starting to get 200 plus horsepower out of the thing. And it was
What's a high amount of boost for those things?
For the Pro Chargers?
To really push through them, yeah.
Or through, I mean, like a stock bottom end bike, if you're putting boost through it, you don't want to be pushing more than like 8, 9 PSI. And
You
we
guys were
were,
running into
at that
the
point,
teens?
we were running stock bottom ends.
Okay.
We wanted to stick, so like the 131 kit was a Harley kit, and we wanted to stick with, the reason why we went with that was, like there's manufacturers that make great products, S&S makes great products.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted something that was more attainable to more people, meaning like, so anybody that bought a new Harley could go into the Harley shop and get a 131 kit with warranty.
Right.
So like, we kind of looked at that, and we wanted to stick with that to see what it could do for a while, and we kept building and building on what was super available to the general public, and that those kits were. So we were building all this horsepower and just kept, I mean, we broke a lot of parts too, don't get me wrong, but
right.
we would rebuild it, break it, rebuild it, break it, and in the end, we were running it on MS 109 fuel from VP. It was putting down about 15 pounds of boost, and it was seeing about 340 horsepower.
Really?
So it was,
Jesus.
yeah, it was pretty wild. And yeah, when I crashed it, which was about 2.5 years ago in North Carolina, we were doing a test day, and I blew the bottom end out of it, and the crank went through, sawed through the transmission. I mean, just sawed the counter shaft of the transmission in half, all the cases, everything. Wrist pin was found, 100 yards away, like just...
Did it hurt you? Did any parts hit you? Do you guys run blankets on them or anything?
Yeah, so we had a belly pan on it.
Okay.
With a blanket. It blew through the belly pan, ripped the blanket up through everything. I mean, this thing just destroyed it.
That blanket probably saved your life.
Yeah, so I mean, so when it blew up, I was on pace for probably my fastest pass. It was my fastest 60-foot time, and there's a picture of me with both wheels in the air over the 60-foot. So, like, it really wasn't even that good of a 60-foot because you need some traction and tires on the ground to go fast, right?
So you had a wheelie bar on it?
No.
Okay.
So extended swing arm, so it was 72-inch wheelbase,
Uh-huh.
which was, like, per a class that we were running. Yeah, like I said, 15 pounds of boost, 131, which the engine combination really wouldn't fit in a class, but we did more. It's more for testing and tuning.
Okay.
For our...
I'm assuming a sub 1 second 60 foot.
No, so like that was...
Like
I think that one was like... It was only like a 150. That bike should have been capable of like probably I don't want to say, maybe 120s, 130s, somewhere in there. But I mean, it was so much power. I was learning how to ride it. I mean, that's a lot.
Dude, that's insane.
That's a lot of horsepower. I mean, anybody that says they got a fast Harley, come see me.
God damn.
So it ripped, it was fast, but 106 miles an hour is when the crank blew out of it. So like we've got a fuel tech system on it, data logs everything. It was 106. I was able to keep the bike up for a while until it high-sided me, and then I just went sliding. So mostly okay. Yeah, I sprained both my ankles pretty bad, and I mean, really that was about it. I had some bruising on my body. My helmet was a little rashed up, but yeah, I mean, yeah, just get up and walk away, so to speak.
Right.
I refused ambulance rides so I could hang out at the track the rest of the day.
Nice.
Because who wants to go sit in the hospital?
Yeah.
That was that. Yeah.
That's fucking wild. Yeah, you can go sit in a hospital in 6 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But that's wild, man.
Yeah, I didn't go to the hospital. I didn't even ever actually go to the hospital. I came back here, drove back here. I didn't drive, but
For people listening, even for me, man, what is it like twisting the throttle on a fucking 300 horsepower Harley?
Well, you gotta be fully committed for one. And so that bike had what it's called a two-step. So you actually launch it you have to have it on 100% throttle to launch for it to stay on the two-step, which that will limit your RPMs for when it takes off. So we were launching at, I think, I don't want to say that was 3,000, 3,200. So not a crazy high RPM to launch at, but when it goes, it goes. You know, and at that point we were testing some auto shifting with it, so you just stayed in it and the bike would do the rest at that point. You know, we had a MTC Gen 2 lockup clutch in it, and yeah, I mean, it put the power to the ground, but it was, I don't want to say it was violent, but it's violent when it goes, and you want to be, you know, focused on the job at hand, so.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need all the focus for that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no hesitations in it, you know, no second thoughts, you know, you're there, you know, and that's where the engineering side of it goes down, is like it's a checklist. And you know, I flew airplanes for a little while, so like racing is very similar to that, where you work off a checklist. It's you go through these checks and balances, make sure that all the systems are go. And if everything lines up and everything hits those marks, then, you know, we're good to launch, right? You know, we're good to take off. So it's similar to that, and that's, you know, just part of the racing thing. It takes a very, you know, kind of organized mind, and I'm not always the most organized person, but there's, you know, with that, you kind of have to, you know, forget about everything else and just focus on what's going on at that, you know, at that given moment.
Yeah. How'd you get involved with airplanes?
So my dad had always wanted to fly airplanes, and, you know, when we were growing up, he, you know, we didn't have the money to do it then. He just was always interested. I mean, growing up, Saturdays he would take us to the airport, and we'd just sit out there and like, eat snacks and watch airplanes take off. And
that's so
it was just a dream of his. And then one day he went out and found like a private, you know, pilot instructor and started renting a plane, and he got into it. And then
did he ever own one?
Yeah, so he owned, everybody like thought my dad was crazy because no, my dad actually owned an experimental.
Oh really?
Which is,
so did he make it himself?
No, we finished it. So him and I actually kind of bought that one together because I just liked anything with a motor, and at that point I hadn't done any flying, but we found a decent deal on one that was a couple hours from here, and he was really interested. Let's just go get it. And it took him maybe 2 years to build it, like finish the build. It had been a flying airplane at one time in its life, but it had sat for 15, 20 years at this point. So he got it and kind of finished it, and then we took it out, and he was renting a hangar out at the local airport, and he had his pilot's license at this time, flying a little 150, 152 Cessna for a while, and then just wanted to fly that. And that was very easy, which is a Bert Rutan design, which Bert Rutan's a famous, like, kind of wacky but super efficient airplane builder, meaning like you want them, you know, low slipstream, and like it just goes to the air efficiently. So he had built that, and I mean, it was so, I don't want to say it was a goofy looking airplane because I thought it's a beautiful airplane, but people would call the cops on him thinking that, now this is, you know, 15, not 20
early
years
2000s
ago. Yeah, like mid 2000s. So like he had, at that point, drones weren't a thing.
Oh, right.
They were becoming a thing, but it was more like you heard about drones in the news from like the government.
Right.
This airplane looked, it was small, and it looked like a drone, so people would call the cops on it.
Oh, that's
thinking
crazy.
that, some crazy guy's flying a drone around, you know, the city out here, and it's like, nah, it's just my dad just out flying.
That's so cool.
But it was a two-seater.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to ask.
So it was a two-seater, like, tandem, so, you know, front, back, but it really wasn't set up for two people, meaning, like, it was too much weight. Too much weight to have two people in there, so I never got to fly it. And then at that point, I was going through flight school, doing the thing, and I just decided, I was like, I want one that we can fly in, you know. And I was tired of renting. It's like, you gotta plan so far ahead, and it's like, you know, you're going against a bunch of other people trying to rent the same airplane, and weather in Michigan isn't always the best for flying. So you get these small windows. So I was like, let's just, you know, save up. I had actually found a plane. It was an Air Coupe, which is an older airplane. This was like a 1946 airplane, right?
Damn.
So I found this Air Coupe. It was in my budget, and we went and looked at it, and I was ready to buy it. The wings were wadded up. I mean, this thing had, but I was like, I can make this.
It ran when parked.
Yeah, I can make this work. And actually, at the time, the guy that owned it was the oldest pilot in Michigan. He was like 86 years old at this point.
Damn.
And still flying, but he was about ready to lose his medical, couldn't fly anymore. So I ended up my dad actually found another one down near Atlanta that was a 1969, and it was kind of a version of this Air Coupe, but it was made by Mooney, called the M10 Cadet. And it was double the price of the one I was looking at. I was like, well, I was at the high end of my budget. Like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
So we ended up, when I was going to buy the Air Coupe, the guy called me from Atlanta. Like, I had left him a message 2 weeks prior, he didn't get back to me. Well, he was a commercial airline pilot. He flies to China and back. So he's gone for a couple weeks at a time. He's like, oh, you're the first people to get a hold of me. You want to buy it? And I'm like, I'm ready to buy this one, but okay. Yeah. So canceled the deal on the one locally. And my dad and my instructor, I drove them down to Atlanta like a few weeks later, and we ended up buying that M10. So my dad and I split that one. We owned that one together. So he had his very easy at the time, and we had this Mooney together, and we flew for quite a few years, and then ended up selling it, I don't know, 2 years ago or so.
Cool.
Just kind of both. He's still looking for another one. I don't want to say I'm tired of the hobby, but motorcycles give me way more thrills than flying.
Yep. Yeah, I totally get it. But I do love small aircrafts, man.
Oh, they're great. It's
so fun.
It's a great time. It's just, there's just a lot going on with it. And I thought it would be more of a freedom thing. Yeah. You know, like that's the third dimension of freedom, right? Like, you ride around the streets.
I'm going to the final frontier now.
And yeah, but really it wasn't that, you know. It's very government regulated, and everything's do this by the books, do this, watch the weather, do this. So it wasn't that freedom I was looking for, and like, you can always go back to motorcycles for that freedom. Right. You can stop wherever you want, you can ride to wherever you want. There's a lot less restrictions on it, and who likes to be governed?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why we're all in the motorcycle world.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the government either.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so it's more affordable, too, I think, than people realize. Like, when you talk about planes, like, there's people that have fucking baggers that are worth, like, twice the money of some of these fucking planes.
Oh, wait, yeah, that's what, I mean, most people's cars were worth more than my airplane.
Right,
you know,
right.
That's the thing.
People think it's like a rich guy's hobby. It's not cheap, but...
No, it's not cheap, but...
You can fuck around affordably.
Exactly, yeah, you definitely can. But you don't have the fun factor of two wheels.
Right.
I mean, you think about it, you're in a trike. You're just riding around on a trike with wings, right? So it's got 3 wheels, so... Not that trikes aren't fun, but... No, you know.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about trikes, man. Unless I'm physically not able to ride 2 wheels anymore.
Yeah,
that's when you'll see me on a trike.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, anything with an engine is really fun.
Absolutely.
I've never twisted a throttle and not smiled.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys want to join
in? How you doing, brother?
Good. How you doing, brother?
Or do we gotta stop? You guys got something to talk about? What's up, Bert?
No, hey, no, we don't have shit to talk about. We're here, man.
Just shooting this shit.
We're all shooting this shit. You talking about planes and stuff?
Yeah, dude. We got Scott's whole wild history, man. I started here as a kid. It's so crazy.
I like to think of Scott as an adventurer.
Yeah, he sure is.
I mean, if you know, especially if it has a motor in it, but he likes to go on adventures. I mean, and I'm not exaggerating. He likes to go on adventures, and he likes to mix it up. Not like want to go to Disney World go to Disney World, go to Disney World. No, he goes to Disney World, then he goes to Tokyo Disney World, then he goes Euro Disney World on acid, and, you know, and you got to mix it up, you got to step it up, you gotta step up your game. Yeah. So so that's the essence of Scott. Yeah. So yeah, Scott, Michelle, my son Brandon, Fudge here, and everybody here, you know, everybody's a lot younger than me. So Scott and Michelle represent the next generation, you know. Yeah. I'm 62 now, I'm not a spring chicken, right? And so
still the fastest guy in the building though. I mean, we were talking about drag racing, right? Yeah. So that bike that I wadded up, you know, fast.
Yep. Right.
We've now gotten a new one that's turbocharged. It's actually an older gen twin cam.
Yeah.
And that thing, you know, the fastness of that M8 is nothing like this new bike that we have. And Bert's been Bert's been testing on this thing all winter.
Yeah, I've been down in Florida at Orlando Speed World, you know, trying to learn how to ride it. I mean, I've drag raced since I was 50. But, you know, not at this level. I mean, this bike's a high 7 bike.
Really?
High 7 is hauling the man.
God damn. Are you guys going to hire a driver for that?
Hell no, man. We did. We're right here, dude. God, you know, I don't understand this concept of hiring a driver thing. And I'll tell you straight, you know, it's like, let's say you marry a really pretty girl.
Yeah.
And
I like where this is going.
And would I invite somebody over to fuck my new pretty wife in front of me? No. Right. I might not be Johnny Pornstar, but I'm gonna give it my best go, man. Right. So I'm not Joe Racer, Ricky Racer, whatever, you know. But you know, the fact that I'm out there and I'm 62 and I'm playing, I already won.
Hell yeah.
In my mind.
Hell yeah.
I mean, I know I'm not gonna be #1 plate, but I'm having a lot of fun, dude. Yeah. I mean, I love this shit. It's intoxicating, right?
I love the example you gave because I know a lot of guys that own bikes and cars that have race car drivers that run their stuff. And that's how I equate it. I'm like, dude, it's like someone fucking your wife.
Hey, right here, man.
What are you doing?
Right,
you know?
Right. Get in there, man. Just take care of business, man.
If you can't shave the tents off that he can, who gives a fuck? You're still gonna have fun.
I'm still gonna have fun. And so I like where this is going.
Yeah. And like especially like the guys I know that run race cars, dude. You're talking about $500,000 rigs.
Oh, big money.
You're
big
like,
money.
you just fucking dumped all that money and you're not even riding the fucking
hiring
thing.
Somebody.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
I don't get it. I don't get it. And the thing is, one may argue, well, if you hire a real jockey, you know, they're like 120, 130 pounds.
Oh yeah, I'm a perfect racer.
You are. Your physique is perfect racer, but don't fuck my wife.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
I'll take that. That's for a spin, though.
No, but the thing I'm going to tell you is interesting is these turbocharged bikes these days are making so much power.
Yeah.
The rider weight is almost irrelevant. I know that sounds crazy.
Okay.
But there's other factors to going fast.
Right.
That you need to look at.
You think the weight distribution actually helps?
It could because you know we're talking about no wheelie bar, you know, no wheelie bar bikes, you know, and we're talking about riding them hard, and so it could possibly be, you know, if there's 250-pound guys, right, you know, but you get that large weight over the tank. Right, and I think it might help the
hold that front end.
Hold the front end down to the earth. Yeah, it might help, but they're making so. Yeah, I mean, this bike we got is, you know, maybe 370 horsepower.
Right.
Insane. Yeah, it's terrifying. It actually is terrifying.
Yeah.
But I like that.
Scott described it as violent.
Violent. Yeah. I mean, it's Satan. I mean, it's Satan's work for sure, man. And so praise the devil. Okay. Now we're gonna be saying anything else.
I don't edit nothing, Bert. So.
Nothing hits the floor. What are you rolling outside? What's your bike?
I got a pretty fairly mild, like, lowrider S. Just got a pipe and a tune on it.
So the cap on the oil fill for the engine oil, you got a remote vent.
Oh yeah,
Is that what's
Fueling
going on?
makes that. Yeah,
Is that a
it's-
fueling piece?
Yeah, I actually
Yeah.
saw. That's the only bike I ever bought brand new.
Yeah, yeah.
And one of the things I heard about those M8s was they had a tendency to burn oil.
Correct.
A lot of them I heard do, some of them don't. Who knows how lucky you get
Right.
out of the factory.
Right.
So from day one, before I flew to North Carolina for that one, and I went with that oil cap from day one.
Okay.
I wanted to vent that case.
Okay.
I don't know if it worked or I just got a lucky engine, but
Yeah.
that thing's got like 30-something thousand on it now, and it don't burn.
Don't burn any oil, and you don't have any oil bath surprises
Nothing,
and shit,
man.
you know, on your lap or whatever.
No, nothing.
Yeah,
I've always
yeah.
been pretty good.
That's good.
I also externally, I think this also saves me too.
Yeah.
When I did as soon as I got home, I did the pipe and the air filter,
Mhm.
and I always externally vent all my engines too.
Okay.
Up on the head breathers. you
Okay,
know?
okay,
So if you
yep.
look at that, I drilled and tapped
I'll have to take a look.
for external breathers
Yep.
right outside those the head bolts.
Yep.
I
Traditional.
think that maybe that helped me
Yep,
too. I don't
right.
fucking know. You know.
Because that shit dumps into
But
the
either way,
airbox stuff.
I don't want my airbox sucking engine oil.
Right,
you
there
know?
you go, there you go.
Even that
There you
mist
go.
that
Yep.
your crankcase is
EPA
venting.
who?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
exactly. I don't need to
Yeah.
follow the
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
laws Harley does.
Yeah.
You know,
Thing-
I don't really like following any laws. If you saw the
Well,
license plate on the bike,
it's
you know,
it's the essence of. I
Yeah.
did not. What does it say?
I put stickers over all my plates. I'm not a big fan of any
You
of
don't
that.
ride dirty then. You don't ride dirty very much, huh?
Well, you know.
Good
You know,
man. Good man.
We
No,
all
I mean-
got our moments.
I mean, you know, talk about freedom and, you know, all of that and
Yeah.
stuff. And this is no bullshit. I've, you know, been around the world and stuff, and people in this country need to really realize how lucky we are.
Yeah.
In Australia, in Germany, many other countries, you can't put a fucking pipe on.
Right.
You
California, you can't even fucking import stuff now.
Yeah.
oh, if
You
you
gotta have your own connections or whatever.
if
but
you crank up a 2-cycle
Crazy.
weed eater in California, they put you in prison, man.
fucking crazy.
You know, it's really nuts, you know, and so in this country, we still have beautiful freedoms, you know, and people really need to enjoy them.
Yeah. And
you know.
protect them.
And protect them.
Start
Thank
smarting
you.
up and
Thank
protect
you.
them.
Thank you. Don't hide in the corner, you know. Get
Yeah.
out there and say something, you know, for
Yeah.
sure, you know. And so, yeah, I mean, I love this business. I love this business. You know, my wife and I were engineers at General Motors, and, you know, in 97, 98, we quit to start Baker Drivetrain, you know, because I love this shit. And it's I still love it. I still love it. You know, there's people having a good time. You know, it's not your destination. It's all the crazy little fucking stories along the way, you know.
Right.
You know, that you pick up.
I do have a question for you. Speaking of that, we touched on it quick with Scott. He had said you built 50 transmissions, first
That's-
run of 6 speeds.
Yes.
Were you still working at GM at that time?
Maybe.
God damn, that's a lot of side work, man.
Well, you know, I had 4 kids and a dog and a mortgage, and you know, I know it's a cliche and shit, but failure wasn't an option, you know. So, and we had to launch this business. It was the right place and the right time to do so, though. You know?
Right.
I mean, it was.
At that time in the aftermarket
It
industry.
was thermonuclear hot.
Yeah.
It was thermonuclear, and so I wouldn't have that amount of energy right now. You know?
Right.
But it had to be done. It had to be done, and so you know. And then when the phone started ringing off the hook, it was validation, you know, that we were on the right path. You know, even though we were nobody,
Right.
nobody knew us. We were nobody.
Right.
You know, but
Did you
know.
guys even have a website in the beginning? Because you said what, 98 was when all this started?
See, you know, that's
So, like,
that's
what is-
interesting. That's interesting. You say that. You know, I know relatively nothing about marketing these days. That's Michelle's job.
Right.
You know, and but back in the day, I pat myself on the back. I was pretty good with the magazines.
Yeah.
You know, and I knew how to work that deal. You work with the editor of a magazine, you know,
Right.
and you get an article coming, and you know, you polish it up and get the right pictures, and you know, convey the right message, and I was really good at that.
And that was everything back then.
Everything.
Everything.
Everything. How old are you?
40.
40.
Maybe
Okay.
Scott.
Okay.
Yeah.
They were everything, and then I don't know, maybe 05 or something, they started dropping off. you know, they started falling off.
Yeah,
Maybe by
just-
10, they were
They
gone.
went to almost 10. They had,
10?
they had a run.
Yeah. Yeah, and so, you know, and I do have to question. I know people when they go to take a shit, you know, they,
Yeah.
you know, they do that shit. But there's nothing like taking a shit with a magazine in your hand.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, it's proper, man. It's like, you know, and so I kind of miss that. What, you got a beer in a bag right there or something? Okay, all right. So give
Moonshine,
give
man.
me some, man. Give me
some holy water here.
Yeah. And so.
Bert, I don't think the boss lets you drink here.
Sometimes I drink.
Depends on the day.
So yeah, right. So but these are exciting times around Baker Drivetrain right now. We got another new machine coming tomorrow. It'll be our third new machine in a year.
Yeah, he was saying
About 2 years.
2 years.
you guys be
Yeah.
able to run like double. What
Yeah, so like,
primaries
I mean,
or-
the big
or
thing is, yeah,
transmissions?
so like we're going from the VF2 SS and we're going to a VF3 SS, which is about, yeah, the work
bigger.
table size is going to allow us, like we currently do all these oil pans, we do billet oil pans on, it's not the only product we do on there, but it's a good example where currently we could only run, let's say, one billet
Right.
oil pan on there. Now we'll be able to put multiple oil pans on this and run them at once, which...
Yeah.
Basically, that allows you to load the machine, hit the green button, and walk away to set another machine up.
Yeah.
And so that machine's going to run a lot longer without human interface.
Yeah.
And so you can get more productivity out of it.
Are you guys still gonna mount? Are you still gonna put it right next to the Bridgeport?
Yeah.
I kind of
Like
get a
where
kick
that
out
old-
of the old machine
Oh,
next to
okay. The
next to a
contrast.
modern machine
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Well, Bert and I,
Yeah.
we're about the only ones that use the
Bridgeport anymore.
And I use
Yeah.
it because, like what I was saying earlier, right down here in the production area, when I first started working here, the machine shop was the corner.
Yeah.
Right there.
Right.
And so that Bridgeport lived right down here, and
That was our machine.
that was that's what I learned how to machine on manual machining, and
Right.
before I knew how to do the CNC stuff. So it's I don't want to say I can do it quicker on the Bridgeport, but it's just you
Pretty
you
easy
go
to
to
get
what
in and
you're
out.
like kind of familiar with, and it's
Yeah.
it doesn't require as much setup. And if I'm doing something that's probably prototype or a one-off thing that I'm not trying to make it show nice, piece perfect.
Right.
I'm just trying to prove out its concept
Yep.
and put it on the bike, and so we can get the test miles on it.
Right.
It's
It
not
don't need all those
it's
finished
not gonna,
edges.
yeah, and that's
It
when
can have the rough machine.
that's when you see Cody back there. Then
Cody's
okay,
brilliant.
we validated it, and then
Brilliant.
Cody will make 100 of the things,
And they look like
in the time that it took me
Yeah.
to make the one, but
Yeah.
that's how that works back there. So
Yeah.
Mm.
Bert, that's crazy. I just realized too. You said you got involved with racing at 50 years old.
Yeah, the story goes like this: is I grew up in Albuquerque and Napa Valley, and ended up moving to Detroit when I was 16. But I always had dirt bikes and stuff, and I raced motocross a little bit, and I love motorcycles. I love everything motorcycles. What the fuck is that?
That's the recorder.
Oh,
The government is listening.
Sorry to
Bert.
hear it, man. I hear it. I'm on some government watch list now.
it's like tape cassette recorders,
That's
man.
it, man. And then we started the business in '98.
Right.
So let me do the math. It's very easy for the business to consume you and take you over. So when I turned 50, I realized that I had forgotten about my love because I was so wound up in the business.
Right.
And I thought, well, we have a little success under our belts. It's time for me to, rekindle my romance.
Right.
I'm not saying that I was away from motorcycles. Of course, I have, street bikes and shit, but, I'm talking really passionate, romance
Right.
with
Yeah, we
motorcycles.
talked about the Bill Dodge R1 story and how you ended up with an R1 because of Bill.
That's a drug, man. That was a drug. For sure.
So
R1s are drugs, and so Lisa bought me one the next next year. But anyways, so at the age of 50, I went to something George Bryce used to run. It's a pro stock drag racing school. 250 horsepower Suzuki with a wheelie bar. He had a couple of bikes, school bikes.
Right.
And you pay your money and you go down to Gainesville and you learn how to ride a 250 horsepower Suzuki. Like everybody, I thought, well, this is a piece of cake. You got a wheelie bar. This is a slam dunk. Well, it's not quite that easy.
Right.
I ended up going back 2 more times to try to, really get it, but I did like a 797 on one of his school bikes, and I thought, man, that's a drug, man.
That's fucking cooking,
it's
dude.
Cooking, dude. That's like God. Things are like Star Wars when they kick it in the overdrive and the stars go like that, And so, but the more times you do it, the more comfortable you get with that speed. Every time you sit in that seat and go drive down that little short road, you get more and more comfortable, and that's so anyways, that's what the chronology of me, and my love affair of motorcycles is. When I turned 50, I decided, man, I'm gonna be dead soon, man. I gotta do something and have some fun.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping to ride to Sturgis this year for the first time. People say, Jesus Christ, Bert, never rode to Sturgis. What's the matter with you? Well, it's business for us.
Yeah, I'm taking a company trip.
I'm out there. We go out there for business. Yeah. Everybody else is having a really fucking good time, and that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. But but it's business, and so once again, I've been so wrapped up in the business. It's like, wait a minute, I'm 62. I'm gonna be worm food here in a few years, so I gotta now's probably better than 10 years from now to ride to Sturgis. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so it's just 1,200 miles from here. It's not bad. Okay. That's not a bad roll. Okay. So I don't know if I answered your question about all that stuff.
I don't even remember the original question.
Well, I think with the drag race, I asked him about kind of how to get into drag racing, but the drag racing that Bert's done, he does it all the time. It's not just, you say you did it for the love of getting back into it, but we use that skill here because it's developed.
Our products. Yes.
Oh yeah,
and
for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, the product development comes, it has to come from somewhere. You have to have an idea or something and how it's gonna, affect, the public that wants to buy it. What do they want? What is everybody looking for?
Right.
And
you got to torture test it more than the public will too.
Oh,
we definitely,
to the nth degree.
We definitely do that, and the drag racing has really helped development on that. Oh. The nice thing is, with drag racing, you're on a closed course, you're on a track that, you can get through all the gears, you can do this stuff, high horsepower applications, and you're really putting a heavy torque load on the thing, because your tire is glued.
Heavy traction.
Your tire is glued to that track,
Yeah, for sure.
So
for sure,
it's been good for development and learning what to do and how to make new products better, or to take old products and continually develop those, because that's another thing that we didn't really talk about that, but all of our products are not it's not like launch it to the public, okay, push it off to the side, what's next? We'll continue develop that, because we're going to learn something new, and if we can apply it to an old product to make that old product even better, we're going to do that.
Right.
So
like the 6 and 4.
6 and 4. Scott designed that.
Yeah, that was
years ago. That was one of his first big.
Shit.
2005. The first design project that Bert gave me was, we have a setup called a redundant neutral. I don't know if you've heard about us talk about that in any of our product literature.
Helps you find neutral,
The N1 drum is the only.
Yeah.
So
is that what you're talking about?
No. So the N1 is just a shift pattern, but there was tons of complaints from people, pulling up to a stoplight or coming to a stop, parking their bike, and I can't find neutral. I'm going from first to second, second to first.
Right.
I always miss neutral, and Bert came up and he said, well, I got an idea for this. And so first product
There you
was
go.
that's what it was. Is he kicked me out. We used to have a trailer out back.
Yeah, he and I
like
used to take up residence.
construction trailer out back, and that was our little design area. But the product was this redundant neutral, which is another feature on the pillow block, which pillow blocks hold the shift drum assembly.
Yeah.
And that there's a track in the drum, and then there's a ball detent set up in there that when it comes around to neutral, it just adds a little extra stop, a little click to it. And that was the first design project that I had done, and we really used that, not that same design, but the concept is on all of our products because it works so well.
Right.
Right.
Wild, man.
No, it's good. One thing I know is to effectively develop products, you have to immerse yourself in the culture. I want in the worst way to diversify outside, the Harley business. The side-by-sides are interesting to me.
Okay.
Because the side-by-sides, the Can-Ams and all that shit.
Yep.
There's a lot of people out there doing a lot of cool stuff,
But what would you get involved with that, like clutches? Because a lot of those are belt driven.
Right.
Like there's not even a transmission really.
Well,
gear driven at least.
For example, we have a concept on the boards of they're just a big snowmobile clutch, right?
Correct.
Well,
Yeah.
What if they had a 5-speed manual with a clutch in it? That we have a concept for that.
Okay.
Of a kit to convert your snowmobile clutch to a 3-pedal setup.
Really?
Cool, huh?
That is cool.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, and I know that a couple of the manufacturers have come out with them this year, I think, but I don't think Polaris has,
Right.
And so, there's always opportunity. There's always opportunity,
My finger's not on the pulse in the side-by-side world, but I always thought Honda was the only one that did a geared transmission, and it's automatic.
Right.
So it's just shifting.
Honda, Yamaha, Polaris released this year.
They
It's
did?
only in a high
So this is a trend. This is
It's going this way. It's
Okay.
going this way. And we may be too late to enter the market. My point is we wouldn't enter the market unless we completely immerse ourselves in the culture.
Right.
And we don't do that right now today. So my point is anything. I mean, I'll make 2-speed transmissions for dildos if there's a market. But you would have to go in and do the field research.
Is that product down by the deer heads in R&D right now?
You saw it.
Yeah.
You saw it. It's in the men's bathroom there with all the girls on the wall and shit. But if there's a market for an American made,
right.
I won't ship my designs overseas like everybody else. I won't do it. So fuck that. If my products are expensive, I'm sorry, but I refuse to cut costs by shipping stuff overseas.
Hell yeah.
Most of our stuff is made right here in the Midwest, Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, and and I'm proud of that.
Yeah, you should be.
Proud of that. Very proud.
That's originally Bare Knuckle Paul's been with me since day one, and that's one of the things that
He preaches.
Yeah,
he preaches.
I love it, man.
Yeah. Bare Knuckle Paul's cool,
I'm there
man.
to support it.
And he's a funny motherfucker for a big, tall guy, He's got a sneaky sense of humor, man. He be talking and stuff, and all of a sudden he'll catch you, man, and he'll trip you up.
Oh yeah, he's a smart guy, man.
He's smart. Yeah, he's very smart.
Yeah.
He's crafty, motherfucker.
Yep.
I do. Do you like the business, man? You like this stuff?
I love it, man. That's why I'm here.
It's a drug, isn't it?
Yeah,
Cool.
Absolutely. It's I've done my share of real street drugs, let's call them.
Yeah.
But
right.
Motorcycles
Me
has
too.
always been the most expensive drug I've ever done.
Right.
Yeah.
And
it is a fucking drug, dude.
It is a drug, but it's a good one.
It's the best drug.
It's really, there's nothing like clearing your head on a nice 2-hour ride or longer.
Yeah.
I mean, it gets your head nice and good, man.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't trade it for the world. I mean, the freedom we enjoy in this country is beautiful.
Yeah. And there really is. I know it's like cliche. They call them fucking freedom machines or whatever, but like we were talking about flying earlier, like I love the single engine Cessnas and stuff like
sure.
that. Like there is no fucking freedom like twisting a Harley.
Right.
It's just,
I got my pilot's license when I was
awesome,
25, you know, but I didn't do anything with it because it just didn't give me the, you know, like twisting the throttle. And that when I've analyzed that in my head for years, you know, and it doesn't make any sense because I think when I walked in the room, you were talking the three-dimensional nature of flying around up in the sky. It seems like, man, that's the ultimate, you know. And the first time you do a full stall, man, you fucking put the gas down and pull the yoke back and it goes like that. It's cool.
Yeah.
The 10th time you do it, it's boring.
Right.
I never get bored on a motorcycle.
Never.
I never, dude. I mean, it's like.
That's the reality of it.
I mean, it's just true. Yeah.
You didn't even fly with all the crazy
regulation. I flew back in the caveman days, man, where the biplanes and shit.
You can have fun. Now everybody's watching you.
I think in the airline industry they call that the cocaine days.
Oh, right, the cocaine cowboys. That might be it.
Or importing, exporting.
Right. The DC3 days, South America, man. It's all good, but you know.
Or another feeling, and I'm just like a local idiot that's been on tracks and stuff, but a feeling that'll never get old also is pulling up to a line. And you know, whether it's on a drag strip or a road track or whatever, that fucking will never get old, dude.
It's church, man.
It's full adrenaline dump.
It's church. And to those who may have seen that but not done it, it looks kind of simple and maybe even kind of dumb.
Right.
My message to those people is try it.
Right.
because
I mean when
even if you've never done it go do it on a stock motorcycle and it's not even that easy on a
stock 16-second motorcycle.
Seat time of doing the tree. It's not that easy.
Yeah, it's so true, man. Your head will go all different places, just trying to hold it together.
And that's what I've been working on down in Florida over this winter. Is my biggest enemy is the man in the mirror. Yeah. And when you not even when you go up to the line, when you go through the bleach box, burnout box, whatever. From the point before that, you just have to be focused on that only. Right. The propensity in my head is, I'm thinking about a new design. I wonder if I cut my toenails this morning. I'm thinking about stupid shit that just fucks me up, and I have to learn the mental discipline of putting all that shit outside. It's just you and the track. Yeah. And so it's a beautiful. It's like some kind of kung fu, fucking feng shui, fucking I don't know. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Well, also, if it was easy, anyone would do it. You know.
Bingo. That's the deal. The deal.
It's like it's funny. I was talking about this on the last podcast I did at Orient Express Racing.
Ooh, and they're fast people.
Talking about like when you're at tracks, you could see the racers that are about it.
You can't.
They're just like
they're fucking.
They don't look like they're very fun to talk to. They're in the fucking zone, dude.
Right.
And you have to be a great racer. You got to be in that zone.
Just that only. That only.
And it's hard to get to that channel.
It is, and my nature is not to be in that channel, but I have to, I have to. So I don't know. That's all I know, man. Where are you going from here?
I'll be in Chicago after this, then to Indianapolis, and then down to Loretta's outside of Nashville, Tennessee Motorcycle Music Revival.
When is that going?
Tennessee Motorcycle Music Revival is next weekend. Well, like, what is today Monday?
Weekend?
Today's Monday, so it starts Thursday. Yeah.
Labor Day weekend? Or
4 days from now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Okay. 4 days from now. Yeah.
This week.
I hope I'm not fucking that up. I'll just show up and no one's there. Yeah. My wife is flying in. I'm like,
oh my God.
Well, I guess the fucking Christmas is canceled.
Well, we gotta go right. No, this weekend. Yeah.
Norwalk's
this weekend is Norwalk.
Okay.
And I'll be there. That's gonna be my first race of the year.
So wait, so you're officially in a race series?
Well, I did dabble in it. The AMRA, American Motorcycle Racing Association. I dabbled in it with my 9.5 second bike, the organ donor, with the green Kawasaki fender and all that. But there's a Grand Canyon's worth of difference between riding a 9.5 second bike and an 8.0 bike.
Yeah. Are you bracket racing that?
I think I'm gonna race pro bagger.
Oh wow.
I think it's pro bagger. You know, and there's fast people in there. I'm not gonna do well, but I'm gonna play.
Right.
I'm gonna go to the playground and play in the sand.
Right.
You know, and so yeah, it's this weekend. It's looking like the weather might be crappy on Friday for test and tune, but the weekend itself, the qualifying on Saturday,
Yeah.
and then the eliminations on Monday or Sunday.
That's all you need.
That's all I need. That's all I need. You
Yeah.
know, and so just letting you know. And then after in the middle of June is going to be right here in Michigan, the same sanctioning body.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys got a local drag strip here?
We've got kind of a few. So we've got 131, which is over on the west side of the state.
It's the best track.
That's the fastest track in Michigan.
Is that like a NHRA sanctioned?
I don't know if it's the real deal in HRA, but it's the fastest track.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's that one. The one that I was talking about that I used to go to as basically a kid on the
Yeah.
Buell is Stanton, that's mid Michigan Motorplex, I believe. That one's we don't really go there often. And then there's the other one that we would go to is Milan, down sort of by Detroit.
That's Detroit, right?
Yep. And then Lapeer is
Flint.
not too, like Flint area, which we'll test and tune there. But if we're actually like racing, we're either at Milan or 131. It's typically just 131 these days.
Okay.
Milan will put on like Harley drag night and stuff, which is fun. The local dealership puts that on, and it actually draws a pretty good crowd of bikes.
It does.
You know, you can have 50 bikes down there racing, so that's pretty fun. And it's not like a sanctioned body, but it actually, you know, it's good to get out and you get with your customers, and you get to talk to them and race with them, against them, and there's a lot of people that find it fun to like, I know that guy, you work at Baker, and like, you know, or like, I want to race against Bert, you know, like, and you can do that with them, and it's, you know, it's part of the, man. You know, like, it's just part of this industry of having fun with everybody.
Right. Hey, Bert, also, speaking of getting old, too, I still see the videos of you doing, what do you call it when you guys get up on the, I call it the dyno rollers, and you're just racing in place to see who could run through the 6 gears the fastest? Are you still kicking ass on that, or what?
Well,
I see the videos, dude. You look like a beast.
Tracks?
Yeah, so
the
like
burnout tracks. Yeah, that's what it's called.
Yeah, and we're having it where this year, Michelle?
Iron Horse. Yeah.
Iron Horse.
August 4th. No. August 6th. Tuesday, August 6th in Sturgis.
Okay.
So that's
one of the notes?
That was one of my notes.
Right.
Yeah, so like Baker Burnout Drags at the Iron Horse in Sturgis.
Yeah.
August 6th. It's Tuesday night. And that's like, that's the best show because Bert doesn't even race. He just puts on the show.
I just fucking act like an idiot. I'm yelling.
Is it really an act?
Man, you're a quick study, dude. You got me clocked, man. And I'm not offended, man. I don't fucking care. I am an idiot. I'm a proud idiot.
No, dude, you got to be able to fucking joke around, man.
You have to. If you can't laugh at yourself, you know the rest of it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know the deal. But I run around and be a stupid idiot, you know, and you know, and fuck with people, but it's just pure mayhem. I can't describe to you with words. But you've seen a couple of the videos. They're just chaos.
Yeah.
Just complete chaos and disorder, which I prefer as a human. I like anarchy.
Yeah.
And it's all about anarchy there. Yeah, I mean, it's, and what it is, it's not even on rolls. We just dump water on cement pads, something.
Yep.
And you light the tire. And so you're doing a rolling burnout first, click, second, click, third, you know, but it's particularly on the 1-2 shift, it's a trick. You got to make that shift super quick.
Yeah.
Or you stall your motor.
Oh, okay.
You know, so especially on the, you know, before you get the momentum going, you know, the rear tire. So, you know, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, and whoever gets to the top gear first wins and goes to the next round. And, you know, we have destroyed a few bikes.
Right.
You know, I mean, there's been some carnage.
Yeah.
You know, but everybody has a big time, and you know, it's just pure stupidity, man.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just-
Do you guys ever give out prizes for the winner of that or anything?
We do. What, $500 or $250?
Yeah,
It's changed over the years.
Yeah,
But it's either been like a gift certificate
Yeah.
or cash money or
Yeah.
a new tire.
Right.
Right.
So yeah.
Cool.
Right.
yeah, we would work with tire sponsors because that's a big thing that really goes is like the tires.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's hard to find a tire sponsor that wants to put into 12 guys, 16 guys.
The commitment.
The
Yeah.
commitment to these guys
A lot of
burning their
tires.
tires off, and they're all different size tires,
Yeah,
right?
Oh,
Because
right,
somebody's
right.
running an Evo Sportster, somebody's runing a brand new M8 bagger,
Yeah.
So there's a lot of differences to that, but we always support it with some sort of gift certificate, so at least you're getting something out of the deal,
Right.
Yeah.
other than the pure entertainment. Because
Yeah,
honestly,
right.
it's
It's
one of
fucking
the
awesome to
one of the
watch.
best events to go to. I mean, I get to be a part of it and spectate it.
Yeah.
It's one of the wildest events you can go to in Sturgis and just have a good time there. I mean, you can be up on the balconies watching, you can be down in the crowd, you can be behind the bikes getting, shrapnel tires, shrapnel hitting
Yeah.
you. I mean, it's just a wild time.
And it's
Yeah.
not the boys only. Last year, a lady won, 25-year-old young lady, or was it the year before?
I don't know if she won, but she did pretty
She
good.
did well. She did well.
She did well until she broke her stock transmission.
Until she broke.
And then she ended
We
up
had to help her out a little bit.
getting a grudge box. That was Erica.
And
Nice.
and she's 25, nice looking lady, but she got in there and she made some boys cry, man. And to me, that's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's this
Yeah.
isn't just the He-Man Woman Haters Club like on the Little Rascals.
Right, right.
This ain't that, man. It's anybody who wants to play. Step on up, man.
Yeah.
Anyone that wants to have some real fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's a good time.
Man, I blew a booger out of my nose, man. Shit, man, you made me laugh.
Yeah.
Where's my
Yeah, so
booger?
we got that event. We got that event.
You're wearing it, dude. You
I'm
got
wearing
a shirt on. You don't got no sleeves, but.
All right, I'm good now.
Yeah. Yeah, step it up, have a good time. That's really what all these fucking bike events. It's the time to fucking cut loose and
Do you go to
just
other
have a good
events?
time. I go everywhere, man. I travel all over
Did
the
you do
country.
Myrtle Beach this year or whatever?
No, man.
It's right now.
Starts
Myrtle Beach is,
Oh.
I've never done that one.
Yeah.
It's not really my scene.
Years ago we did
You
it and
know.
it was pretty good, but yeah, it's changed.
I've never been to Daytona. I've been to the October one, but
Tell me what
even
coolest
Daytona
event
is not super
other
duper
than
my scene.
Sturgis.
Dude, I love Loretta's that I'll be at next week.
Okay.
That's one of my
Okay.
favorite. Mama Tribe is also my favorite.
Is that the Wisconsin one?
That's in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fucking love Mama
Okay.
Tribe, man.
Okay. What-
But
in
the sucky
winter
part
or
about
something?
that is it's winter, so you're
Yeah.
not riding in, you're just
Yeah.
flying in and
Yeah.
out. But
Right,
man,
right.
what a fucking scene
A lot
they
of
have.
cool
They have
people.
carved out the
Yeah.
fucking thing there, dude. And
Okay.
they're, you know,
Okay.
Harley's behind it. So,
Oh, they are.
You know, they're right next to
Milwaukee.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's
Okay.
like a half a mile from the factory.
Oh boy.
And they do races now at the factory, and they're grassroots, wild, smaller campground kind of events.
Understand.
You know? I've done Sturgis once.
Oh.
I'll be going back next year because it's the 85th. Me and I don't know if did Chicken Rick ever stop by here? You know Chicken Rick?
Mm-hmm.
You're making that shit up.
Yeah, he visits a lot of places too. But yeah, me and him were saying like for Sturgis or like the bigger events, we'll probably go on like the 5-year. Like next year is the 85th
Smart.
Sturgis.
Smart.
It's usually a bigger turnout and stuff,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I like to stick to the smaller ones,
Okay.
smaller chopper events. I love the block party. That's like in my backyard. So I go
Are
every
you
year.
Brooklyn area or something?
I'm on Long Island now. I'll be
Long
moving
Island.
upstate in a couple
Yeah.
months. But
Yeah.
I've been in New York my whole life. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So, you know, yeah, Indian Larry, I love that one.
Right.
I like the smaller, wilder
Yeah,
events,
yeah.
you know.
Is there going to be a Larry this year? Or was last year?
Yeah, I think Bobby was just saying
Gonna be a
that.
Larry?
They were saying that because they were looking at a different lease on the building. They were thinking they were going to move.
Mm.
I don't even know. I haven't spoke to Bobby in a while, so I don't know exactly what's going
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
It's his business.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be another party. you know,
Okay.
So
That's
yeah.
exciting. I mean,
Yeah.
I knew Larry, and Larry was cooler than you, and me combined.
Yeah.
Motherfucker was cooler than cool, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he was real, man.
Yeah, everyone I was just at Paul Cox's place like 2 weeks ago, and everyone just describes him as just the most larger than life guy.
But humble.
Yeah.
But humble. Not a used car salesman, man. Just humble. Is it going to be 20 years? Isn't it?
Last year was 20.
Last year was 20.
Yeah.
Well,
this will be 21.
Okay.
So this is the 20. So how does that work? This will be the 20th party, or because it's basic. So the dates that they did, it's like based off from like the death anniversary or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Versus the party.
Okay, so this coming, I'm gonna fuck it up by 1 year, but I think the way it works is, so last year was 20, was actually 19 years Larry was dead. So I think this year it'll be like 20-year anniversary for his death, but it'll be the 21st party.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay.
It's called the block party now, but when Larry was alive, he got to throw one party, and I forgot what they called it. They called it something else, but it was basically the block party. He brought a fucking rocket-powered drag bike down and fucking lit the street on fire.
Right on the street.
And bands playing. Like, he did a block party, but it wasn't called the Indian Larry block party yet. I forgot what he called it, like the fucking whatever he called it.
The cops closed the fucking street down for him, right?
Yeah,
the cops just handed the street.
Barricade it and just hand him the keys to the city, man. It's awesome.
Have fun, boys.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
Right there in Crooklyn, man.
Yeah.
Crooklyn.
Yeah, it's It's
a trippy place, man.
Keeping Brooklyn dirty.
Keeping Brooklyn dirty? Is that what they say?
I mean, that's what I said.
Yeah, right.
It's just a good time out there for sure.
Yeah. But I'm trying to think of some of the other cool ones, man. I'm a big FXR guy. I mean, I run a Baker in my FXR. Okay. I love going to the FXR jams. Unfortunately, I'll be at a good friend's wedding in Colorado. So this would be the first one I'm missing. They do, but the good news is I'll have an FXR out there too. I'll be ripping around Colorado.
Oh, that's
I'll be at the FXR tour this year. Staying at another friend's place, just flying in, borrowing one of his bikes, and now that I'm with Twisted Road, maybe I'll rent something cool.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sure.
I always say I want to buy a Ducati Monster.
Yeah.
That's gonna be my first rental from Twisted Road. I'm gonna acquire a Ducati Monster.
I like that.
So, before I was involved with the Harleys too, like me and Scott were talking. Like I had a couple R1s, CBRs.
So you know the story.
So in New York, I would do the Wednesday night and the Friday night. They call them grudge match drag racing. Under the lights at Englishtown.
Okay. E-Town.
Yeah. So, that was like my home track. I did. They have a dirt track there too. I raced motocross there.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
You were probably good.
So I
never made it out of B class. I never made it out of B.
Better than most guys, but like I never had hopes of going pro.
Yeah, right.
But
No,
I was pretty good for a local kid fucking around.
Okay. Right.
Well,
that's cool. The Loretta thing. Tell Buck.
Yeah,
I said
absolutely.
Hi.
Yeah.
Tell Buck, please.
Yep.
And Kerry Rep.
Yep.
Tell them I said hi, and he's always trying to get me down there.
I love Buck,
dude. Isn't he fucking hoot, man?
He's so fun hanging out.
He's like a monster, man. He's like 8 feet tall, and he's like
dude,
8
all my
feet
friends
wide.
are monsters, dude.
Yeah, right.
They're all monsters compared to me.
You and I are scrawny white boys. Right?
Yep.
Tell them I said hi, and it sounds like it's growing each year incrementally.
It is. And I think that's another one that they have a lot more Harley involvement this year. Got like my friend Chicken, like you guys don't know Rick, but he's now working with Harley, and they'll be sending him down there for the first time. So Harley's more trying to grow behind that too. So
does he fuck chickens? Why do they call him Chicken Rick? You know the Larry Flint story, Larry Flint?
I do know Larry Flint, yeah.
Chicken fucking and all that
You know what's crazy, man? I never asked Rick, and me and Rick have been friends since he started the whole thing.
Well, hopefully this little mention will spark some admission on his part, man.
Yeah.
At least a juicy story, man. And if it's a stupid story, have him embellished to the max.
It's gotta be a stupid one, because Rick is a wild character, dude.
Okay, cool. So it's gonna be a good one.
I'll tell you a quick story about Rick.
Yeah.
The way he got involved with bikes, he got his first bike which was a wacky purple Road King. I call it like the mini Beaner bike.
Okay. Beaner's little brother.
Yeah. But he traded it for a fire truck that he was driving around at the time. I'm talking full-blown fire truck, bro.
He's a freak.
He's a wildcat.
He's a freak.
Yeah.
Fire truck. You could go anywhere you want, man.
Yeah.
With that thing.
He drove on people's lawns with that motherfucker.
Yeah, right.
So he's sober now, but this was in his drinking days.
Yeah, right.
He's told the story on the podcast before. He's driven that fucking fire truck across fucking highway medians and shit. Like, he's a wild character, man. You know.
Well,
I'm surprised you guys don't know him yet. He's a pretty well-known dude at this point.
I don't get out of the house. I don't know anybody.
Well, he makes me look like I stay home, dude. He travels all over the country.
He's a man.
And he loves visiting places like this. I'll turn you guys on to him, man.
Cool. Talk about
yeah, he's a photographer for Harley now. So
Nice.
he loves coming to places and taking pictures and all kinds of shit.
He's good at it.
He's almost like a. These guys hate when I say this because I say this about Brian Helm too. Yeah. But they're like, think of it almost like how would I describe it? Like a Michael Lichter meets, like Brian Helm gets so mad when I say like, and Chicken Wreck, like they're almost like modern day Lichters in a sense, like taking the torch.
Well, that's
I know that's a big
compliment.
thing, and I don't want to insult Michael, but
that's
like
a high compliment. Someone
needs to take the torch at a certain point, and the next generation coming up,
right? Look at me, yeah. So,
right.
You have to accept that, and Michael.
And Michael's still full swinging.
Oh, I understand, and he's a beautiful human being.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can describe him. He's a beautiful human. I mean, he's easy to be around. Some people, I spend 2 minutes with them, and I go into the bathroom and start spinning the cylinder, drive me nuts. But Michael is just like chill.
Well, dude, these guys are so special in our world because they're documenting history, which is also why I started this podcast. I mean, I'm documenting a part of history.
Right, 100 years from now, anthropologists could fucking listen. Let's study these.
Or some fucking kid, whatever motorcycles are in 50 years from now, like how we wanted to know about David Mann and, and Donnie Smith and Dave Perowitz and like where some kid's gonna be able to listen and be like, what were Scott and Bert doing?
Yeah, our fathers.
How did this all get off the ground and all that shit? People are gonna want to fucking know about this in 50 years when we're not here.
Which will happen.
Yeah.
They tell me.
So it's special, and Rick does that. He travels all over the country to all kinds of shops and all kinds of shit, man. He's
not Rooster Rick, Chicken Rick.
Not Chicken Rick, and it's I think even on his Instagram he says something to the effect of like it's fucking Chicken Rick to you or something. Like that,
Chicken fucking Rick.
Yeah, but I should ask him that. Where did that name come from? I'm so fucking stupid, dude, that I've probably asked him before.
No, I'm more stupid than
he's told me, but I don't even know, man.
It's all good. It's all good. Everybody has fun, man.
Yeah, so. I'm telling you, you guys will hit it off. I'll send him this way.
Is he your age, approximately?
He's a couple years younger than me. I think Rick's 36 and I'm 40.
And he's got stories.
Yeah.
Got some juicy ones.
He's got some good ones, dude. Like even before his motorcycle days, like I said, like driving the fire truck around and just getting wild. He was I hesitate to use this word, but he would agree, a problematic drinker and
I love it. I love it. I will identify with this personality.
Yeah. But fun, man. We've had some fun. He in this motorcycle world. He's really like my best friend in this motorcycle world. Him and my friend Willie that I'll be out in Colorado with.
And this is encouraging to me. This is encouraging to me. I'm being serious. Is that you three are Michelle, Scott, and you Rob are the next generation. And like I talked to Pirwitz, and we'll talk about who's the next generation or what's the next generation or what are they going to do or something. I'm very encouraged to know that people like you and Chicken Rick are out there, carrying the torch, man. And because there's just a lot of fun to be had. And I'm sure there's some younger people than you in their 20s with sport bikes, no doubt, Gixxers and R1s, saying, man, that's some dumbass shit, man. This motherfucker Rob sold out and he's driving a tractor now on the fucking street called a Harley, But all I have to say to those very young people is this: is when you get 35 or 40, ride a Harley.
Yeah.
Just try it. Just try it. Tell me what you think. And
Right.
and it sucks you in, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It sucks you in, dude. I mean,
yeah.
She's a good girl, man. She's a good girl.
Yeah.
This whole.
Well, you know what I tell people too? I remember the first Harley I ever had really wasn't a Harley. I built a ground up custom. And I was hell-bent coming from sport bikes, and I still owned them at the time.
Yeah.
I wanted the motherfucker to be fast.
Yeah, right.
And at the time, there was a video that was called Too Fast, Too Real, Long Island Extreme. There was a bunch of like drag racers and shit.
Oh.
And I did a crazy 113 on that bike, and I ran neck and neck with fucking 600s at drag racing, you know?
Bro. What was the bike? What was the
fast.
motor?
It was in a what was the frame? A Craft Tech frame.
Okay.
And it was an Ultima 113.
Okay.
That I cammed and
Yeah.
you know valve springs.
Okay.
Just like a
Okay.
little hop up on it.
Yep.
It had Andrews 5-speed in it.
Okay. Rigid?
3-inch belt drive, rigid.
Okay.
Yeah, and I ran the wheels off that
Okay.
bike, dude.
Just beat the shit out of it.
Yeah, and that engine's in my friend's FXR still.
Okay. Pumping.
Yeah,
Pumping.
cranking wheelies and
Wow.
I
Wow.
can't even believe it hasn't blown up yet, to be honest. But
It's kind of fun to smoke a sport
yeah.
bike on an old
yeah.
tractor engine.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Even if you don't, you're still
You're
better
playing.
off.
You're
Oh, yeah.
playing.
And you're
You're
playing.
playing.
Like you're
Playing
having
the
a good
game,
time.
man. You're
Dude, you
playing
could
the game.
still these,
Yeah.
especially these new M8s, even a fast FXR, you could still run the wheels off of
Yeah.
some of the smaller
Yeah.
sport bikes, you know,
Yeah.
especially guys on the street that don't know how to ride,
Yeah.
you know.
I guess
Um,
my last message to your audience is if you have like one of those soft cloths and some polish, throw that shit in the trash. Just get on your bike and ride. Don't
Yeah.
wash the motherfucker. Just get on your bike and ride. Go a full tank of gas. You know, just go somewhere.
Yeah,
You won't regret it.
yeah, absolutely
It's
not.
therapy on two wheels, man.
It sure is, man.
Nice meeting you.
All right.
Cool.
See you, Bert.
All right. Be
You want to
good.
wrap this up, Scott? You got
Yeah.
more? What's in the
Yeah.
notes, man?
Yeah,
What's
I
left
mean,
in the notes?
just want to, back to Sturgis this year. So we're doing a thing with the Flying Piston benefit,
Yep.
and I just want to touch base with that. So they do, they raise money for the All Kids bike,
Okay.
and what the All Kids bike does is gets kids on striders.
Okay.
So it's a charity deal, and we're actually one of the builders this year. I'll be doing a custom strider, and then that will go off for charity auction on Sunday, August 4th. So there's a handful of builders in our industry that do this, and you know it's a great event and good way to raise money and get kids on two-wheelers.
Awesome.
So,
Yeah, I love
yeah.
that. Going back to Mama Tried too.
Yeah.
They do that. They got the little kids event and
exactly.
stuff.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
anything
you
to
gotta
get
do it.
people riding, and you know, yeah, it's going to the shows and stuff. It's cool to go look at bikes, but the reason this industry exists is because of riding. And like
Yes.
Bert said, get out and ride.
Yeah. That is the
Nobody
most
gives a
important
shit
part.
how clean your bike is.
Exactly.
Nobody
Exactly.
fucking cares.
Yep.
So go ride it. You know.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah.
Yeah. So
I like that, man. Let's fucking finish off on that. Unless there's more in the
that's
notes.
it, man. That's
I like
just
it.
spend
Get out
weight.
and fucking ride it.
Yeah.
And also, the last sponsor I forgot about, don't forget about hit up lexan-moto.com for all of the best communication and music devices inside your helmet, and punch in the code word crazy at 15% off. Do it. Lexan keeps me sane on these long-term trips, cranking my music, listening to my podcast, and I'm going to be doing another video when I get back home from this one about the new Lexan Novus. This is my first big road trip with it. And guys, I got to say, those new speakers are awesome. I was never able to really listen to podcasts in my helmet. These speakers fucking crank. You could hear people clearly. It's fucking awesome. So anyways, get out there and ride, whatever it takes. Don't worry about washing the bike, dude. Hit the button, go.
Ride
Kick the
dirty.
pedal. Ride dirty, dude.
Ride dirty.
See you next week.
That was good.